Hey everyone, and welcome back. You guys know I love digging through Reddit for the craziest stories, and tonight, we've got some seriously wild crime tales. Buckle up because these Redditors have witnessed some things that'll make your jaw drop. Let's get into it. In this town, the punishments are worse than the crime. Part 1. Growing up, I used to hate seeing them everywhere. In my town, you couldn't walk 5 steps without running into them. They were on every wall like some kind of creepy wallpaper. The worst part was the classroom. I used to just think it was annoying, which it was. I hated how crowded the walls were, not just with normal stuff like vocabulary words or pictures of presidents. Sure, those were there too, but they were shoved in between the real stuff. The stuff that made my skin crawl, the town rules. There's the usual stuff you'd find in any school. The golden rule poster about treating others the way you want to be treated, and that one with think in bold letters, where each letter stands for something like thoughtful and helpful, but all of that just fades into the background next to the rules. The ones that actually matter, the ones everyone knows, the ones you don't question. They're everywhere, you can't miss them, no matter where you sit, and they can't miss you. Above the chalkboard, behind the teacher's desk, even taped to the bathroom doors. But they're not just there. Above the water fountains, they hang on the walls next to the weekly newsletter, and they're printed on the side of the gymnasium where we have assemblies. I'm not sure how long they've been around the rules. I think it's forever. I don't really remember learning them. It's like they've always been there, like the sun rising or the lunch bell ringing. Nobody remembers a time before them. I mean, my great-great-great-granddad knew them, and I guess his great-great-great-granddad did too, so who knows? It's hard to imagine a world where kids don't know the rules before they can even write their own names. Miss Talia said kids used to start with the alphabet or numbers, but here, we learn the rules first. She told us that way back on the first day of kindergarten, when we could barely tie our shoes, but somehow, we all knew. Rule 7. Don't go out during the fog. We all said it together perfectly. That's because even before we could read, we were taught to recognize the shapes of the words. I know the rules so well I could say them backwards. Most of us could. We've been drilled on them since we were little. So little that mama, dada, and don't look were some of our first words. I'm sure I could even rattle them off in my sleep, and probably do. Sometimes I even catch myself whispering them under my breath when I'm nervous like they're a lullaby or a prayer, but they're not. Not really. Every day when we walk into the classroom, they're the first thing we see, and every day we recite them right alongside the pledge. Our pledge isn't like the one I hear in movies. Ours is shorter, that's why I like it more. We all stand, push our chairs back with a screech that echoes off the walls, and place our right hand over our hearts. And instead of talking about liberty or justice or any of that, we say, stray from the path and you'll be lost. Stay with the pack no matter the cost. Follow the rules and you'll be fed. Stray from the pack and you'll be dead. That's it, real simple. And then rule 1. Don't look outside the windows when they call at night, no matter who knocks or how much they beg. I don't know who they are exactly, but my sister says they're really good at pretending to be people. People you miss. People you shouldn't miss. Miss Haverford, our current teacher, watches us while we recite. Her eyes sweep the room like she's looking for someone who's not taking it seriously enough. Sometimes, if she catches you zoning out or mumbling, she makes you stay after school and write out all the rules 10 times by hand. My sister had to do it once. She said her hand was cramped for days. I always say to the kids who are even younger than me that the rules are like cheat codes in a game. You have to remember them, or else you lose. And in this game, when you lose, you don't get a respawn. We don't talk about the rules much outside of those daily recitations. It's like some kind of unspoken agreement. Learn them, follow them, but don't dwell on them. No one wants to be the kid who asks too many questions. That's how you end up noticed. But every once in a while, someone breaks a rule, and then it's all anyone can talk about. Like with Nathan Inko. He's the boy who let his dead brother in. Or almost did. Nathan's in my sister's grade, a quiet kid who didn't stand out much until the night he broke Rule 1. I wasn't there when it happened, but I've heard the story enough times that it feels like I was. People said he thought he heard his brother knocking at the window, begging to be let in. His brother had been dead for a month at that point, killed in a car accident that everyone agreed was impossible. The road he crashed on was dead straight. No curves, no reason for the car to flip the way it did, but it had. Crushed like a tin can. Nathan never said why he opened the window. Maybe he thought his brother had come back, just for him. Maybe he just wanted to believe. I like my sister whenever she isn't being such a gross girl. I think I'd probably be pretty sad if that happened to her, so I guess I kinda get it. Maybe Nathan did too. His dad got to him in time to pull him away, but Nathan's arm, well, they couldn't save that. It's all anyone could talk about for weeks. That and how Natalie and Jacob B. were going to kiss during recess, but mostly Nathan. Everyone called him stupid. I guess I can see why, but I don't think it's as simple as that. Knowing the rules is different from living them. After that, he didn't come to school for a while. When he finally did, he was missing half of his left arm. The rumors flew around the cafeteria like flies on old milk cartons. Some kids said they saw his bandages bleeding through during recess. Others swear his arm still twitches sometimes like it was trying to grow back, but all wrong. I've seen him in the hall sometimes, usually in the morning when my class is walking in a single-file line. He's by himself a lot of the time, but I don't know if that's much different than before. Maybe that's part of the reason he opened the window. Maybe he was lonely. Maybe his brother was his only friend. I used to see it twitch sometimes, Nathan's arm, all jerky and erratic, like a robot running out of batteries. I'm always waiting for it to just stop, for good, but it hasn't. Maybe it doesn't know it's gone. The big kids, like my sister and her friends, just whispered about how dumb Nathan was for listening in the first place. Everyone knows Rule 5, they'd say. The dead don't stay dead. So yeah, everyone called him stupid for falling for it, but honestly, I don't think any of us really know what we'd do. It's easy to talk big when it's not your brother's voice outside, right? I say as much to my friends one day at lunch, picking at my soggy PB&J. Yeah, but I still wouldn't fall for it, Jacob L., my best friend, says. He's sitting across from me, mashing peas into his mashed potatoes, and I just know he's going to try and get one of us to eat it. I'm too smart for that. Okay, but what if it was someone you really cared about? I ask. Like your mom? Or Layla? Jacob pulls a face like he smells something bad. His nose wrinkles. Layla? He says like I just told him to eat a worm. Layla's his older sister, the one who's always picking on him. She's friends with my sister, but the sort of friends who say mean stuff about each other when the other isn't around. No way, I wouldn't look for her, especially not her. Her donkey teeth would probably be sticking out so far, they'd hit the glass. He mimics her buck-toothed smile. I laugh, and I don't point out that those donkey teeth of hers seem to run in the family. I'd probably pass out from looking at her like those fainting goats. That's so gross, Jake, says Alice from beside me, wrinkling her nose as he pours his strawberry milk into his chunky mush, stirring until it looks like a light pink sludge. Yeah, Jake, I agree. A mouthful of cold peanut butter, chunky grape jelly, and grainy wheat bread. Strawberry milk is so gross. We call him Jake because it's way better than saying Jacob L. all the time. Alice scoffs. I'm not talking about the milk. I'm talking about him playing with his food like that. And stop talking with your mouth open, Robbie. She scolds, moving her lunchbox away from us. Her mom packs her lunch so she has the good stuff. A ham and cheese sandwich on regular bread, chips, apple slices, a fruit roll-up, and a Capri Sun. Alice is all about manners. She always reminds us to stop playing with our food, and she thinks it's stupid when I burp the entire alphabet instead of being super impressed like she should be, and all that's kind of annoying. But she's like the fastest runner in our grade, so she never gets tagged during recess. Plus, she's always willing to trade her chips for the chocolate pudding I bring for snack time, which makes her cool enough to sit with. Jake stops stirring his weird mash milk mix. Stop doing that, Jake. Stop making fart noises with your armpit, Jake. He makes his voice high-pitched like a girl. I'm glad he's not a girl because he'd probably be a pretty ugly one. I don't laugh out loud because I don't want her to think I'm on his side. We haven't traded any of our food yet, but I nudge his knee with my shoe so he knows I thought it was funny. You never want us to do anything fun. She crosses her arms, rolling her eyes. She's been doing that all the time now that she's learned how. You'll get it when you're a big kid. Right now, you're just dumb boys and you think all the dumb boy stuff is funny. That's why you need to listen to me. I know what I'm talking about, she says, even though she's only a few months older than us. If being a big kid means I won't find armpit farts funny, then I don't think I want to be one. Oh yeah? Jake rolls his eyes too, but he doesn't do it nearly as well as her. While Alice just moves her eyes, he moves his whole head, like his eyes are dragging his neck with them. Then what about Nathan Inco? He's a big kid. Doesn't that mean he should have been smart enough to not open his window? Jake points out with that same snooty look his sister has when she picks on us. Well, she hesitates. Maybe he didn't have a friend like me to set him straight. He probably thought all that dumb boy stuff was funny too. And now he's a dumb boy with one arm. Maybe that's true. The idea makes me a little sad. I wonder if Nathan can still do armpit farts with just one arm or if he even wants to. I don't think I'd want to do a lot of things anymore if that happened to me. The cafeteria is loud today, like always. Trays clattering, kids chattering, trying to see who can make their tray of food look the most disgusting. We ignore the lunch monitor, Mr. Smythe, who's standing near the lunch line with his hands folded in front of him. There's always something a little off about Mr. Smythe. He's got that same blank look on his face he always does, like his eyes are made of glass. He never talks, not even when he catches someone throwing food or making a mess. He's always there watching, even though no one really knows what he's looking at. And his eyes never blink, not once. I caught him watching me once and I looked away, pretending I didn't see him. Everyone knows not to stare at him for too long. It's just one of those things. We don't talk about it, but we all know, just like the rules. There are a lot of things in this town that you don't question. You just keep your head down, follow the rules, and ignore the stuff that doesn't feel right. Like Mr. Smythe. Or the figures you sometimes see through the trees at the edge of the schoolyard. Or the way the wind sounds like voices when it blows through the cracks in the window. Maybe all the stuff in town is just because we live next to a secret lab or something. And the scientists are doing experiments. That makes sense. Way more sense than the trees do when they talk. It's just another one of the rules, I guess. Don't look too hard at anything. Don't ask too many questions. Don't let anyone in. My eyes keep drifting to the far corner of the room, where the janitor stands. He's standing near the back wall, half hidden in the shadows, his mop leaning against the wall next to him. He's in a different spot every day, but always facing away and never cleaning anything. He doesn't sweep or mop or wipe tables. He just stands there, facing the wall, head tilted slightly like he's listening for something. Something only he can hear. I used to ask my teacher about him, but she just said to ignore him. So now I try to. I guess it's one of those things you just stop noticing after a while. I ignore him, mostly because everyone else does. He's just there. A part of the school. Like the rules, like the posters. Like everything else we don't talk about. There are other wordless rules in the school, things worse than Mr. Smythe and the janitor who seem mostly harmless. Things like Charlie. It starts with Miss Haverford glancing at the clock. The classroom hums with the low murmur of students chatting, pencils tapping against desks, the usual pre-lesson noise. I'm scribbling some doodles in the corner of my notebook, mostly zoning out when I notice Miss Haverford glance at the clock. And then glance at the clock again. I can tell by the way her lips tighten into a thin line and her fingers twitch at the edge of her desk. That little twitch is the warning. She's not usually the nervous type. She's all straight posture and thin-lipped smiles. But right now, she's gripping her pen so hard her knuckles are white. My stomach drops as soon as I see it. I'm already reaching into my desk when she stands and clears her throat. I feel a small, instinctive twist of fear in my stomach as her eyes scan the room and pause on the door. "All right, everyone," she says, clapping her hands together softly. "Get out your multiplication tables." The room goes dead silent. No one asks questions. We know what that means. I was hoping I was wrong, but I guessed right. There's no way to know which classroom Charlie will visit today, but the way she keeps glancing at the clock means it's close. It could be us. It could be now. There's a soft shuffle of papers and the scratch of chairs moving as we pull out the worksheets. Jake does the same beside me, though I catch him stealing a quick glance at me and waggling his eyebrows like he's not scared. But even he's not stupid enough to mouth anything. "Don't look up. Don't make a sound," Miss Haverford says, so quiet you can barely hear her. Miss Haverford reaches into her desk drawer and pulls out a small stopwatch. She checks the time and sits it on her desk with a soft click. The second hand starts ticking. She folds her hands, staring straight ahead at the wall, eyes unfocused, not really seeing us. Her lips press into a thin line and she doesn't blink. I swallow, feeling the knot in my throat tighten. "Stay silent. He'll leave when the time is up," she whispers, so low that I almost didn't catch it. Today might be the day Charlie visits. It could be any day, but today, it's now. It's Charlie Day. Some kids say he comes twice a week, others say it's random, but we all know the drill. Don't talk, don't look, ignore him. Whatever you do, don't give him any reason to stay longer. The room is so quiet, you can hear every breath, every pencil scratch. The only sound is the faint ticking of Miss Haverford's stopwatch on her desk. Tick, tick, tick. When it stops, he'll leave, and we'll be safe again. We'll be safe. We'll be safe. What are the chances that he comes to this classroom out of all the classrooms? I'm not too good at percentages, but I bet it's pretty low. We sit in silence. I don't know how long. 5 minutes? Maybe more? It doesn't really matter, but we know what's coming. I glance sideways at Jake again, who's gripping his pencil a little too tight, pretending to be cool about it. Alice is in this class, seated at the back of the room, because her last name is late in the alphabet. I would look back at her to check how she's doing, but I'm too scared to even lift my head. She'd probably just roll her eyes at me for being such a wimp. I hate waiting. It makes me sweat so bad that the hair at the back of my neck feels wet. Have you ever been to the dentist and heard the drill in the next room? You know it's coming, right? And you can't do anything but sit and pretend you're not scared. Except this drill talks and laughs. This drill is mean. That's when I hear it. From the corner of the room, a soft patter of feet, lighter than anyone's in the room. Small, careful footsteps move across the tile. And then a giggle like someone trying and failing to hold in a laugh. My heart starts pounding. I freeze, my pencil almost slipping from my hand. I hear it again, closer this time. Giggle. Shuffle. Giggle. Shh, a voice whispers from the doorway. I know that voice. Everyone knows it. Shh, we're gonna play now. My stomach flips. I don't want to play. Not the way Charlie does it. I grip my pencil tighter, my eyes locked on the multiplication tables in front of me. But the numbers blur. My mind's racing, trying not to think about Charlie, trying not to picture him. That small, boyish form with eyes that are too tall and a too wide smile that doesn't hold on to its teeth right. I feel the urge to glance up just for a second. Just to see if he's close. Don't. Who should I visit today? He sing-songs, his voice teasing and light, like we're all playing a game of hide-and-seek. He's not really a kid, but he looks like one. Kind of. We all know he's something else. Something that wears the skin of a child like a costume just to mess with us. His brown hair is messy like he's been running, and he's got all those band-aids on his fingers, wrapped around each knuckle all the way up to the nail. I've never seen anyone with more band-aids other than Alice when she had chickenpox. Except Charlie doesn't scratch them. Maybe that's why he's always smiling. He can't feel anything. There's a scrape on his knee, fresh and dirty, and his fire truck shirt is a little too clean for someone who's been playing outside. I hear him stop near Tyler's desk. Tyler Bennett, who sits at the front and never talks. Charlie giggles softly like he's about to tell a joke. Hey, Tyler, Charlie whispers, his voice sweet, too happy. You didn't say hi to me today. Tyler doesn't respond. I can see his hand trembling a little, gripping the edge of his desk. Tyler. Charlie's voice draws out the name, trying to coax him into playing. You're being rude. Why won't you look at me? Tyler doesn't move, doesn't say a word. Good. He knows better. Charlie moves on. Hey, Ella, I see you. Charlie giggles, moving between the rows of desks. Closer, closer. You've got such pretty hair today, Ella. Did you do it just for me? Ella doesn't move, sitting so still that it looks like she's barely breathing. I clench my fists under my desk, willing myself to stay still, to stay quiet. It's just a few more minutes. Just don't look. Don't say anything. Don't get noticed. 2 times 2 equals 4. 2 times 3 equals 6. 2 times 2 equals 4. 2 times 3 equals 6. 4 equals 10? My hands shake as I try to erase my answer. I don't dare look up, even when he stops right next to Sarah 2 rows in front of me. Her shoulders are shaking, just barely, but I can see it. He leans close to her desk, his voice a sharp whisper. Hey, Sarah, he says. I heard your dog died last week. Is that true? No response. She's smart. She keeps staring at her worksheet. We all do. Charlie giggles, louder this time, like he's just heard the funniest thing in the world. Did you know your dog got hit by 4... He holds up 4 fingers, little band-aids covering each one. 4 different cars before he died? Yeah, he did. I bet you didn't know that, did you? He pauses, waiting for her to react, but Sarah stays frozen. And guess what? He felt all of it. Yep, every single car. His fingers drum on her desk, light and playful. The first one hit his legs, smashed them up real good. The second one? Ooh, that one got his ribs. Bet he cried, didn't he? And the third car, well... He stops, leaning in close. It didn't kill him either. Nope. But then... He suddenly slams his hands down on the desk and we all flinch. A big old truck came and splat. Brains everywhere. Splat. Bam. No more doggy. I feel like I'm going to be sick, but I'm not surprised. Charlie knows what makes you sad, even if you don't say it out loud, and he gets even meaner the longer he stays, working harder to get someone to crack before he has to go. He reminds me of those boys in PE. The ones who always aim for the face even though the coach said not to. Charlie's like that, but worse, because Charlie never misses. Not ever. I keep my eyes glued to my paper. Multiplication tables. Easy, repetitive. Just focus. Charlie giggles again, as if this whole thing is a joke. Bet you cried really hard, huh, Sarah? Yeah, you did. You're a big crybaby, aren't you? I bet your face was all scrunched up and you were sobbing, weren't you? Yeah, you were. Big old crybaby. Why don't you smile, huh? Come on. Turn that frown. He frowns dramatically before tilting his head so sharply that it's almost completely upside down. And it looks like he's smiling. If anyone else did that, they'd be dead. No, nobody else could do that. Necks aren't supposed to bend that way. But I don't think Charlie knows that. Upside down! He waits for her to break, just for a second, then sighs loudly when she doesn't. You're no fun, he mutters, as if he's bored now. He moves through the room slowly, his feet light on the floor. I can hear him stopping at each desk, hearing the faintest shuffle of papers as he leans over to see who's playing along. My palms are sweaty. The clock is ticking. Miss Haverford isn't moving at all. Charlie starts humming, some off-key, tuneless little melody that grates at my nerves. My skin prickles as I hear him stop at someone's desk near the front of the room. Hey, Timmy, Charlie whispers, his voice too loud in the silence. I heard your goldfish died last week. Did you know that? Did it float upside down, all bloated and gross? Did you watch it sink to the bottom? There's no response. No one breathes. Charlie giggles. Bet you cried like a little baby, didn't you? You love to cry, huh, Timmy? Bet you were sitting there staring at it, hoping it'd swim again. But it didn't, did it? His voice softens, almost like he's comforting Timmy. But it's wrong. Mocking. Don't worry, though. Fish don't feel much pain. It's not like your mom when she was in that hospital bed. I heard you prayed for her, but she didn't get better. That must have sucked, huh? He lets out a long, fake sigh. Maybe next time, pray harder. Timmy begins to cry, body-shaking sobs that he covers up with his hands. Then, as quick as flipping a switch, his mood changes and he starts bouncing around the room again. "I'm an airplane!" he shouts, arms outstretched. "Roar! Roar!" He weaves between the desks, running in circles, making airplane noises. But they're wrong. I grit my teeth. He's doing it wrong on purpose. Everyone knows planes don't sound like that. Too loud, too deep, too off. Like he doesn't actually know what an airplane sounds like, but he's pretending anyway. I keep my eyes down, but out of the corner of my vision, I can see him zooming past. He swoops around Timmy's desk, his fingers brushing the tops of everyone's heads. "Wee, look at me, I'm an airplane." His voice is so bright and cheery, it's almost like Recess. If Recess was the most terrifying thing in the world. I almost got away with it. I really did. I was doing so good keeping my eyes down. But the fire truck shirt, he's got that fire truck shirt on today. I love fire trucks. Just a quick peek. Just a tiny one. And if I can remember it enough to describe it to my mom, she might get one like it for me. I glance up. Charlie freezes. He's in the middle of the room, arms out, like he's still pretending to be an airplane. But now he's perfectly still. Charlie moves so fast that I barely register it. 1 second, he's feet away. The next, he's standing right in front of me. For the briefest second, I see him up close. He's right there, his face inches from mine, his eyes wide and gleaming, taking up so much surface area on the off chance you look at them by mistake. His smile too big, too sharp. My heart jumps into my throat, my chest tightening with panic. I squeeze my eyes shut without thinking. I think that's the only thing that saves me because I can feel him. He's hovering so close that it feels like I can see him in the darkness behind my eyelids. "You almost looked at my eyes," he whispers, a dangerous edge in his voice now. Not in, but at. Like his eyes are just posters he pinned to the wall of his face, just something stuck on. Like Mr. Smythe's eyes, always glassy, always wrong. I wonder if they came from the same place. The same horrible, horrible place. "You almost slipped." He's breathing softly against my cheek, but it feels like he's all around me. He's so close I can smell him, like damp grass, mulch, and something else. Something sour underneath. "You know, I wore this shirt just for you, Robbie. You like fire trucks, don't you?" "I do too. It's so funny seeing them speed off to put out a fire." Charlie says, his voice all sugary and sweet, like we're best friends. I try to distract myself by multiplying by 6 in my head. Even funnier when they don't get there in time. Do you think that's funny, Robbie? I won't tell if you do. It'll be our little secret. I keep my eyes closed, eyelids twitching with how hard I'm squeezing them. But I can still feel the pull. I want to look, just to see how close he is, just to know for sure. My hands are trembling, my breath coming in shallow little gasps. "Hey," he whispers, and it's not playful anymore, it's cold, his breath ice on the back of my neck. I can't tell where he is now. I think he's tricking my senses. Or I'm just so scared that I'm tricking myself. "I heard your mom cry every night." Yeah, you're used to her crying, though. I remember. "I heard you're the reason she cries so much. Is that true?" I bet it is. She probably cries because of you, doesn't she? Because you're a scared little baby. I feel my throat tighten like I might start crying. My breathing gets even shallower, but I can't move. He's just messing with me. That's all this is. It's not real. None of this is real. It's just a dumb game. I bet you cry too. Like when you're all alone in your room and the shadows start moving, huh? You cry just like your mommy. His voice drops even lower, soft and mocking. Come on, just say something. Just one word. I bet you sound so funny when you're scared. I'm about to crack. I can feel the tears burning in my eyes. I suck in a breath, and for a second, I think I'm going to scream. I'm so sure that I'm about to give in. It feels completely out of my control. Then a sneeze. Loud and sharp from the back of the room. I freeze. Everyone does. Charlie's attention snaps away from me. The tension breaks, and for a moment I can breathe again. When I can tell that he's no longer focused on me, I crack my eyes open, glancing over my shoulder at where the sound came from. Out of the corner of my eye, I see Charlie's smile turn feral, like when a wolf snarls, so it looks like it's smiling, but it's really just showing off what it'll use to tear you to bits. Charlie straightens up and his voice fills with glee. Oh, bless you. My blood runs cold when I realize the sneeze came from Alice. I know this because I watch as her lips form the words. Thank you, she stammers like a reflex, like she can't help it, clearly without thinking. She's too well-mannered for her own good. Then Charlie laughs, a bright, childish thing, full of pure joy. Aha, I got you, he squeals, jumping up and down, clapping his hands. I got you, I got you. Alice lost, Alice lost. I knew you'd break. You're always so polite, so well-mannered. Bet you thought you were so smart, huh? But you're not. You're just a dumb little rule breaker, he says, giddily skipping over to her desk. And you're always so fast, always slipping away before the other kids catch you. But I caught you. Everyone goes still, inwardly cringing as we watch, but no one dares to move or speak. Not while Charlie's got someone. Miss Haverford's eyes dart to Alice, but she stays frozen behind her desk. Alice's lips tremble. She's so still, like a statue, like she thinks if she doesn't move, maybe he'll forget. He leans in close, even closer than he was with me, his face almost touching hers, and I have to look away, but I hear it. Her sharp inhale, as if she's about to scream, but no sound comes out. I'll be gentle, Charlie whispers. Until I get bored, then something happens. I don't know what. None of us ever do. But Alice's face goes white, her lips trembling as she tries to stay still. There's no sound, just a cold ripple through the air. We all sit there, helpless. And then it's over. Not because Charlie wanted to stop, but because the stopwatch went off. It's followed by the school-wide alarm blaring over the intercom. The intercom crackles to life. Playtime is over, the voice announces. Time to go home, Charlie. Aw, man, I wanted to play more. He pouts, stamping his foot. He sulks, dragging his feet towards a darkened corner. Well, I guess I have to go. Bye, everyone. I'll see you soon. Bye, Charlie, we all say in unison, keeping our voices calm and steady, just like we were taught. It was fun playing with you. See you soon. Charlie grins again, giving us all a little wave, and between one blink and another, he's gone. Just like that, the air feels lighter. The classroom is still deadly quiet for a few seconds before we all exhale. I sigh, muscles aching from how tense I was. Jacob elbows me. Dude, you were gonna cry. Look at you, you almost peed your pants. Nuh-uh, I say, rubbing my eyes quickly so no one sees. But I kinda did. Sometimes I wonder if the adults are more scared than we are. Like, we follow the rules because it's just what you do. But maybe the grown-ups do it because they learned what happens when you don't. After Charlie leaves, the rest of us are so hyped over how cool it was that he came to our class, while Miss Haverford rushes over to Alice, who's shaking in her seat. Alice has dark skin, made even darker by how much she plays outside. But now, it's like she's been drained of all her color. Miss Haverford's face is pale, her lips tight like she's trying not to let us see how scared she really is. But I see it. She looks at Alice like something awful just happened. She whispers something into her walkie-talkie. Code Blue. Room 3B. The kids around me are already bouncing with excitement, whispering to each other. I can't believe we got Charlie today. Around me, everyone's buzzing, like we just survived the coolest thing ever. Kids whispering, "Did you see his face?" Or, "I wasn't even scared." I want to feel the same, but I can't stop looking at Alice. I don't think it was fun for her. Alice is sitting still, her eyes blank, like she's somewhere else entirely. I wonder if she'll ever talk again. She's always telling us to mind our manners, always being the polite one, the one who never gets in trouble. But now, maybe she should have just kept quiet. It's her own fault. She broke the rule. But I don't feel good about it. Not at all. Part of me feels bad for her, but another part, well, she should have known better. She's supposed to be smart, smarter than me and Jake at least. She said so herself, bragged about it. She knew the rules. She even made fun of Nathan for breaking them. Mom says not to touch the stove, and what do? You touch the stove. And whose fault is it when it hurts? That's on you. It's weird. She's just sitting there. I always expected that anyone who loses Charlie's game would just, I don't know, explode or something. I pictured that he'd put something inside of them that would eat them from the inside out and make a bunch of tiny Charlies. But maybe I'm just thinking about that one scary movie with the big-headed aliens Dad let me sneak watch with him, where the monsters burst out of people. I guess since Charlie got interrupted by the bell, whatever he was doing got paused. Alice's monster is still inside her, unhatched. For now. I couldn't sleep after watching the movie. I wonder if I'll be able to sleep tonight. I look back over to Jacob and see his face twisting up all weird as he looks at Alice. Before I can say anything, he just shrugs his shoulders and asks, "Can I have your pudding instead?" I sigh, digging into my bag for it since it's not like Alice will want to trade now. I hand it to him, knowing I'll get nothing in exchange. Jacob's mom always forgets to pack him a snack, as the sound of pounding footsteps comes from the hall, and a bunch of adults burst into the classroom. "I don't have a spoon," I say as he tears the lid off, digging in. Alice always brought her own. And then I start thinking that Alice may never trade with me again as the adults gather around her. I look at the other kids that Charlie targeted today. Tyler's up and about, hands in his pockets and staring at the ground as his friends talk at him. A bunch of girls surround Ella talking about whatever girls talk about, probably asking her what she did to her hair that caught Charlie's attention so they can avoid it. Some kids are trying to cheer Timmy up, I wouldn't know how though. Even I get a couple of pats on the back and a few fist bumps. Not Alice though. None of the kids want to get near her in case they catch whatever Charlie gave her. At least that's what me and Jake are thinking. Even as her friends, there's little that survives a Charlie day. Because of this, I get a clear view of the commotion. She looks like how my stuffed bear did after it went through the wash. Kind of flattened and wrong, like all the stuffing got sucked out and she was just skin left over. So much so that I expect her to go limp once they move her. But she's not. Alice is stiff, knees curled toward her chest like a spider when you spray it. I recognize the one that holds her by his stiff brown doll hair and his almost sightless eyes that seem to see a lot as he cradles Alice to his chest like a baby bird. Mr. Smythe. The other teachers give him a wide berth as they rush to open the door for him. It's weird. It's almost like for a second his face might crack open. But then I realize it's a smile. He's smiling down at Alice. It's not the usual dull look of nothingness he always has, but a smile. A real one. Like he'd gotten something new. The pure joy and excitement of unwrapping an action figure or a doll on Christmas. Except this time, his new doll is broken. But maybe that's what he likes. I elbow Jacob in the side and point toward the crowd of adults as he yelps in pain, almost dropping what was supposed to be Alice's chocolate pudding. We watch them walk out in silence. I wonder who will comfort Alice, but I cut that train of thought off when the only name I can think of is Mr. Smythe. Then Jacob shrugs again and keeps eating. I feel wobbly, almost sick. The same way I felt the first time I got on a boat. And it's not just because of how Jake pigs out, chocolate smudged on his flushed and chubby cheeks as he uses his fingers to shovel the pudding into his mouth. But that certainly isn't helping. If you want even more chilling Reddit stories, check out my playlist, link to playlist. And don't forget, I'm always looking for new stories, so if you have one to share, let me know in the comments. Subscribe and stay tuned for more dark tales. See you next time.